and welcome to another episode of GeoStance. Today with us we have none other than Mr. Vikram Sood, a career intelligence officer with over 31 years of service and the former chief of Research and Analysis Wing, that is RAW, and as the Pakistanis would like to call it, RA. So, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on your show.
So we start with this statement of yours that you made in 2018, and you keep making it. You said, and I quote, Kashmir is an excuse for Pakistan army to control Pakistan.
Mm.
So many in today's Pakistan would actually argue that that is not the case anymore, and the army has fully established its dominance, and they do not need to ride the Kashmir bogie to have control in Pakistan anymore. How would you respond to that?
First of all, there is no freedom struggle in Kashmir. There never was. It was a war foisted on us by the Pakistanis for their own reasons, not just to capture Kashmir from us, to keep it as a bogey and to use that as an excuse to control the country. They were not interested in the Kashmiris. At the most, they wanted the water from Kashmir, which flows in from the end of the Satluj and Jhelum into Pakistan and irrigates Punjab, the fields where all the army chaps have their lands. So they wanted that. That's the primary goal. And that is not happening. So if they realize that Kashmir is no longer, it was never available, now even less so after Article 370 and the reconfiguration of the state, there is no way they can get it. And I'll go by one of the statements made by one of the Pakistanis. I tweeted also that he says they are 7 times our size, their army is so much bigger, their economy is so much bigger. Hum kaise ladenge? That is a point of view which surfaces at moments like this when they are in a spot. So I wouldn't go too far into that. I do not think the Pakistan army has still given up its sole card to keep control on Pakistan. And that is to keep Kashmir's issue alive. They will after some time start all over again. Because the present dispensation that you've got, I'm not familiar with many of the names, except for the 4 or 5 top names of who are the actors, because it's only people like Sushant and Tilak can keep track. I can't. I just do the broad thing. They are just got together. They've surfaced from nowhere. They were in hiding. Somebody in London, somebody somewhere in Lahore. They now feel that they can, box together an arrangement with one chief minister here and a prime minister there and run the show. The army is going to wait. They're going to see how they figure out. And if it doesn't work out, it'll be back to square one. So let's not underestimate the army and let's not think that their days are over. No, I don't think this dispensation that we've got today is worth anything much. I don't think, in any case, there is no one to talk to now there. So even if somebody suggests कि बात कर लें, किससे करेंगे बात? Who is going to deliver? Is there somebody like our Prime Minister who can deliver? That this is the agreement and now you deliver? No, it will never happen. Remember, Bhutto came to Simla and said he would do this, that, and the other. 1972, he did nothing. In fact, he had come to Shimla having asked his scientists to get ready to make the bomb. So this is the perfidy. This is where they start and this is where they end. I do not think in my book we can have a normal, peaceful relationship with Pakistan. We merely have to mend our our fences and keep them strong. I mean, it's like living next door to a neighbor who keeps throwing stones at you every other day. And what do? You just raise the wall if you can't see reason. That's what it is with Pakistan. They have done nothing for themselves. Look at their economy. Look at ours. They hold what they call elections, and one of the candidates was Lionel Messi. The other one was the other, I forget their names, the other soccer player, Mbappe from France. So all these, they are the names of ballot boxes were cast like that. So why are we so keen on, what will we get out of it? Onions? Oh, they will take onions from us and give us what? Rice or sugar or namak? कुछ नहीं मिलेगा हमको. There is nothing they can trade with us. They can only buy if they have the money. They don't have the money. They have problems on their own northwest region. They have problems in Balochistan. They have problems in every Sindh. They have problems. They have problems in Punjab. So how do we talk to them? For what? So my thing has always been, nothing will emerge from any talks with Pakistan. When they're down in the dumps, they will come wringing their hands. And once that is over, they go back and start their usual activities. This has been so for 75 years. I don't see it changing. So the better, sooner we learn to deal with them as an unfriendly neighbor, the better it is for us. And we have to learn, we have begun already, I'll correct myself, of retaliation at a time and place of my choosing. That has to be accepted by them. So it's not, the olden days are over. I remember we did nothing after Mumbai 2008. We did nothing. We did nothing before that. We did nothing after that for a long, long time. So they have to learn to pay a price, and the army must pay the price, not the ordinary Pakistani. And the other thing about the Pakistan army is I fear they're becoming more and more Islamic in their attitudes and their behavior and their beliefs. It's not the old days of Ayub or Yahya, they've gone. It's now after Zia, which is a different army. So that's what we have to deal with. And this current tamasha will last for a few months. The elections were bizarre and left an unstable situation. So here we are.
But why do you say that they are becoming more and more Islamic? Wasn't that always the case? And do you
No,
feel
in the sense that since Zia's time, it's become the Islamic tenets were going to be followed more strictly. They've done nothing to cut down blasphemy laws or which is the other one that they have. The two of them. Blasphemy ले लीजिए, आप उसको control नहीं कर सकते. You can't change it. One of their governors was shot dead because of that by his own guard. And I believe a stage had come, if you were more Islamic, you got promotions quicker. So they're up a narrow creek. And there's nothing we need to do. They'll either sort themselves out or not.
since you said peace between India and Pakistan is not possible, some in the Lutyens, Delhi would say that you're being a hawk and it's very much possible. And these days we see YouTubers from Pakistan giving us a picture which looks far from reality. But then everybody is saying India ke saath tajarat honi chahiye, India ke saath अमन होना चाहिए, वो इतनी बड़ी इकोनॉमी बन गए हैं. Do you see any truth to that, or you think this is a very curated version
I,
that is reaching us?
I'm not a hawk. I'm a realist. I'm not dreaming about good relations with Pakistan. In the present dispensation, it is not likely. And if you want to have that, then you must give me evidence. Pompous declarations and sentimental statements, हम एक ही जैसे तो हैं, that kind of thing doesn't wash anymore. There was a time when we said this in the early years and they would resent it. Now they're saying it and I object to it. We are not you. We are different. And we want to stay different. So you give me evidence of your good intentions. I'll weigh them. I'll take my time. When I've decided that you are really going to mend fences, then I'll ask you to make the first move. Otherwise, forget it. I'm not coming to the party.
What could that first move be, according to you?
All those terrorists that we've got in their custody, hand them over to us that we want. Who want it here?
For starters.
Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
they won't do it
You want Hafiz Saeed.
to start with.
Hmm. That's for starters.
Yeah, show
Hmm.
me, give me the proof.
Hmm. You said we never retaliated earlier. Pakistan bled us so many times, and things seems to have changed now. What do you think changed apart from the political leadership?
No, I mean the freedom, the the instruction to go and hit in Balakot or after the Uri attack, to retaliate publicly, not quietly, to retaliate. The messaging is important. People here kept going on the wrong track. They are so-called opposition. Kitne mar gaye, kya hua? That is not the issue. The issue is that we've told them that we can come into your territory and hit you. That's it. The amount of damage, the amount of casualties is not important. In the case of Balakot, was never important. It is that we will hit you. And next time it could be better target. Uri was a different kind of a retaliation. It was a retaliation from camp to camp sort of thing. So, but that was also announced. I mean, we owned up, we did it. So this is how we have to deal with them. And I don't buy these tijarat kar lo ji falana kar lo आओ खाओ पियो लाहौर तो थोड़ा ही मुल्क हैगा जी no it's not you keep it I'm not interested I've got other things to do in my country better things to do and my army will look after the borders so thank you very much.
Is it the arrogance speaking? Because I always hear there's this one, Mr. Kamar Shima. He keeps saying that because India एक बहुत बड़ी market है. They say market. इतनी बड़ी मार्केट है इसीलिए इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा एरोगेंस आ गई है कि हमें पाकिस्तान से बात करनी ही नहीं है कुछ भी हो जाए जबकि पाकिस्तान आज भी भारत को बहुत टफ टाइम दे सकता है
हाँ अगर आप टेररिज्म बंद करें stop everything else behave yourself then we will treat you like we treat our other neighbors to be friendly we'll give you assistance if you want we'll trade with you we'll live happily ever after but that is not happening that is not going to happen. You talk of Ghazwa-e-Hind and then you say, I want peace with you. You know, you can't have it both ways. You shut them up. Say, no more Ghazwa-e-Hind. I, General so-and-so, declare. And if you do it, I'll lock you up. Or worse, I'll hang you. They don't do that. They give them safe cantonments to stay, lie low, They disappear for a few months, maybe years, and then they resurface. A country that could keep Osama bin Laden hunted by Pakistan's favorite ally, they could keep him and bargain for him. Okay, if they can do that to somebody who says that Pakistan is our major non-NATO ally, and then you suddenly find that how can you give that kind of treatment? What will they do to us? Haven't they got all these chaps already lined up, declared India haters? They lead terrorist attacks to us. They led Mumbai twice, maybe, at least. So, and then the Delhi Parliament attack. There was a joint attack, but so what? To the Pakistan-led attack. So, my friend, I don't think I can see. I will not be able to recommend if the government wants to go and hug and make up. Well, too bad. I don't think the time has come. And I don't think the time will come in a long time. So, best is to keep yourself alert, ready. And people say that because they're in a mess, they might seek a diversion and do something in India. Well, I think they're in such an unholy mess. They can't even afford that. So their options are limited. We don't want to rush them into anything. We don't want to make that as an excuse to take a treaty of Versailles from them, but we'll just stay alive. आपको आपका घर मुबारक, मेरे को मेरा घर ठीक है.
ओके, आजकल एक ये भी ट्रेंड चल रहा है कि प्रधानमंत्री जो मोदी हैं, ये बहुत बड़े हॉक हैं और इनसे पहले जो लोग थे, वो बहुत अच्छे थे. सिमिलरली, पाकिस्तान से भी ये चीज़ कही जाती है कि Imran Khan is kind of a hawk, and some in India also believe in this, but Nawaz Sharif is good. He is not from an ideological family. You've been through that time when Nawaz Sharif was the prime minister. I've
But
also gone.
the guys, they were only the mouthpieces.
Hmm.
When Prime Minister Vajpayee went to Pakistan in February 99, Musharraf was climbing hills on Kargil. They had started. So they were calling the shots. They still call the shots. And they got rid of Nawaz Sharif when he got out of hand. The army controls them. Nawaz Sharif, and I think the army also got upset when Nawaz Sharif hosted Prime Minister Modi on that sudden trip by Afghanistan. They didn't like it. So that could be one of the reasons why he became suspect immediately. So I don't think any of the leaders have the capacity to deliver. And Benazir became mellowed down, shall we say, after she lost the second time and wanted peace. But she was the one who led the march to Muzaffarabad. She was the one who shouted slogans, Jag Jag Mo Mo. And Taliban was born in her regime. So these are all passing phases that if it is, I'm not saying that she may not have had a genuine change of heart. And probably that is why she was done in, because they thought that she had a genuine change of heart, which is not going to be good for them. So the best way is to get rid of her. So वक्त वक्त की बात है, there was a time when she was on the other camp, then she lost out and felt that the best thing is to make up with India and try and sort it out differently. नहीं हुआ, होने नहीं दिया. So,
Hmm. In retrospect, if you look at when you look at Prime Minister's sudden visit to Pakistan, I'm talking about Prime Minister Modi. Do you think it was a good move or?
you know,
Hmm.
that and the first one, when he called them for the inauguration, for his oath taking, they were both good moves. You at least test the waters. You know, that was a, I think it was a sharp move. It made it clear where they stood. And it made it clear that Nawaz has few options. So that's what you wanted to know, that therefore, stay away. Let's leave it at that.
But why do we want to keep testing? I mean, do we really need to keep testing
I think
time
I,
and
I think all our prime ministers have wanted to make up with Pakistan, all of them. Bari Bari Sab, Nehru was of course always on that kind of a platform. Um, Mrs. G wanted to do it. Lal Bahadur went to Tashkent. We had similar agreement with Mrs. G. And then there was this Rajiv Gandhi went to Pakistan also. I think he did. He met Benazir there, but nothing. That was a multilateral visit. And what happened after that? There was a gap. Then then Atal Bihari Vajpayee tried, called them over, despite Kargil, and that was, I would say, at one level a very brave, courageous move, but at another level it's doomed to fail because Musharraf was coming in as a victor, he thought, and he would grab everything, and that was not going to happen, so it failed. After that, we had Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. He met him at Sharm el Sheikh with the Prime Minister of that time. That was not a very successful meeting as far as I could remember. I can remember. So I think we all feel that, maybe I can do it differently. You can't. You just can't do it. So let's concentrate on other things. Let's do our economy. Let's do our technology. Let's do whatever we can. Let's do our water conservation, climate, whatever else the problems that you have. This is a pointless exercise which gives us no benefit. So छोड़ दो जी.
Hmm. Hmm. Mr. Sood, you also keep saying that social media and artificial intelligence pose a major threat to security, more specifically national security. And you've also made the statement that we need to invest a lot more on intelligence. What exactly did you mean by that? Do you think we're not spending enough resources on intelligence?
No, I didn't. Did I say it in so many words? No, we have to,
In
as
2019,
as as the country grows, as we grow, our interests abroad will increase, i.e., economic resources. You need markets, you need resources, you need safeguarded channels of communication, shipping, all that you need. So for that, you need, there will be obstacles to you, more obstacles to you than before. So long as you remain a small little country with a GDP of a few $1 billion, it's okay, nobody bothers. But when you are going to be a third largest, second largest economy, they're going to oppose, they're going to protest, not protest, they're going to put obstacles in your way. Therefore, you must know what is happening. Therefore, you must have the resources and the means to collect that information. That's all. So you have to be ready for 2050 or 2040, whatever date you take, and you have to start doing that exercise today because you won't get the expert off the shelf in 2050. And intelligence collection, intelligence experience is all a long term asset. You build it over years. So that is what I have in mind. Not I don't mean that they must expand or spend more money. That is up to them. But readiness and relevance. Said it in my first book also. How do we stay relevant? How does the intelligence organization stay relevant? By being able to deliver goods on when you need them. And you can do that only if you prepare for that event now, that you strategize. You think among yourselves, what is the world going to look like in 2050? Where will we be? Or where do we want to be? What are our obstacles? We do a SWOT analysis. What do we need? And where do you find it? This is what I mean by, doing it for the future. And so it will, that's the only sort of broad suggestion I have. What was the other question you asked?
So I
The
asked
other,
you, yeah, how does AI, that is artificial intelligence, in social media pose a threat to security?
Asaki, 30 years ago, when I joined, and 50 years ago, it's that old. Means of communication look very, very archaic. Your intelligence came by post from a third country, quite often, by bag. It would be routed through different countries and so on and so forth. Then the teleprinter was a marvel. Imagine in the 60s, teleprinter was a marvel. It was a new invention. Then we slowly got on to the computers came in the mid 80s and beyond. We didn't have, and everybody was scared of those 5 1/4 inch disc and the 3.5 inch floppy, so on and so forth. There was no internet. There was only the computer. And so technology has changed the face of the threats to you. अभी तो WhatsApp restriction है, you have to can't sort of forward to too many people, the restriction of 5 or 10, whatever, 5 I think. Previously there wasn't. So technically speaking, one could have a riot in 10 minutes. All you needed to do was to send messages, and if the other team is ready with their weapons, you have a riot. It has become not just a question of speed of communication. It is the volume, the massive volumes of data that is available to whoever wants to download it. And it's in billions, billions. We don't need all that. So how do we decide which one we need? So these are questions which the security agencies have to examine themselves. I wouldn't know, but it's a huge task because you're bound to have more obstacles, bound to have more rivals, you're bound to have more obstructionists inside your country and outside. So you have to be prepared for both. And artificial intelligence can morph faces, can mimic voices, can make something fake appear absolutely genuine, or the other way around. So, how do you distinguish what you're getting is the genuine article? And that is the problem our intelligence agencies will be having. I'm so glad I'm not there because it's a huge task. So technology has gone way ahead, and if artificial intelligence, somebody wrote, I think I would mention in my book also, Reka as well, that by 2025 it is possible that artificial intelligence will be equal to human intelligence. So my next worry is, what if it exceeds? And what if it goes rogue? So are future battles going to be fought by robots versus robots? Are they going to be mind games only? Are they going to be cyber warfare? Everything put together. Cut off your airport communication systems. So these are huge new threats, new problems that are going to be there. It's very quick. You can get the intelligence fast. You can get imagery down very fast. It's very accurate, very nice. Google does it for you now, free, but Google knows where you are all the time. He knows Mr. Sood went to that house today. He was there for 1.5 hours and he came back via somewhere else because I put him on I put his map on my phone and he knows where I'm going. The day I watch a particular kind of site on Twitter, next day I start getting more of the same on their own. They send me. I didn't ask for it. So they're watching. It's a uneasy feeling. Intelligence, warfare, everything is going to change. Statecraft will change.
True.
Now you have heads of state can communicate on secure line miles away. They don't have to visit each other's countries.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how it's going to be for artificial intelligence. It's a huge, huge new game. I don't fully understand, but I am. Maybe that's why I'm more scared than others. I don't know where it's going to lead. I mean, somebody tried it out on Twitter the other day. He posed a question to Chat GPT, asked them to give a reply,
Hmm.
and the reply was typically Western oriented, saying that yes, I think it is the Russians have done this to us. They started the war, etc., etc. So this chap asked them 6 more questions on that. And then he twisted those things around and said slightly different things all along. So that's another way of creating narratives, of keeping control on you, changing your mindset, changing perceptions. That's what narratives are all about.
Okay, while
Technology.
hmm. Go
Go ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, finish.
Hmm. 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 Okay, while we do understand that the back of terrorism, organized terrorism, has been broken in Jammu and Kashmir, specifically Kashmir, because that's where the most trouble was. There's been a surge in terror incidents by almost 100 to 200% in some border towns in Jammu region, especially in the Rajouri Punch region. These areas were pretty quiet, pretty good post mid 2000s or so. I mean, I'm
Mm.
from that belt, so I remember that from I think 2001 to 2005 was the worst time for us.
Hmm.
Every second day, our schools were off. There were terror incidents, and then operations happened. That area was completely cleansed. Pakistan maintains that there is a ceasefire at the LOC, and we are also not making too much noise about the infiltration. We also maintain that the locals are not getting recruited anymore. The mindset in Kashmir has changed for the better. If the Kashmiris have changed for the better, and in Rajouri Punch belt as it is, we this is what we maintain publicly, that the Muslims on this side are they basically Gujars and Bakarwals, who are seen as very pro-India kind of people.
Hmm.
So then, what is going wrong? I mean, where are these terrorists coming from? And uh, there's ceasefire, people not getting recruited. So, what explains the surge in terrorism in these areas? And these are very, very vulnerable areas. That's where the infiltration happens from.
Quite frankly, I don't have an answer because, like I told you, I'm not following the current day to day events anymore. I don't understand. But it could be a, a double purpose thing to keep Jammu hot and keep Kashmir quiet till you regroup. After the winter months are over, to regroup, and April, May, you start the activity. It could be that part of the game. Or secondly, either they just run out of the candidates in Kashmir and they've only got remnants left in Jammu, which is the more hopeful thing. But I would seriously think that they want to keep Jammu hot because they got the manpower to do it, come hit and go, or maybe there are some locals. And Kashmir, they want to keep quiet for later. इलेक्शन हो गई, हमारे यहाँ
Hmm.
इलेक्शन जाएंगी, उसके बाद देखेंगे.
Hmm. Hmm. It could
अभी
also be this because Jammu is relatively quiet, and it makes more impact when Jammu is
yeah,
burning.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
The Jammuals are not so used to being attacked like this. So expanding your activities or second line of attack or the first line, Kashmir is so heavily fortified they can't do much there. I don't think that is the reason. I think the first one is probably the valid, the more likely reason. We'll have to wait and see till March, April.
Hmm.
If
Okay,
something.
what explains this phenomenon? The Pakistanis earlier they named terror organizations as Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba. Now they're
Uh-huh.
naming the Resistance Front. Since you spoke about technology also being, a
Yeah.
problem in the near future, it's already a problem in some ways. What explains that change? Why are they moving from more ideological names to now names which could have more acceptability across the world, where you use words like resistance? Are they taking a cue from Bollywood, from the
I think
Palestine?
I think they are getting smart. You call it the national resistance movement. That can be anything. I mean, you don't remove the word of Islam or Lashkar, and then you become naming yourself liberation organization. Even that may be tough for Pakistan. But you're quite right that it is probably to seek acceptability elsewhere. And in these days of woke, everything is woke or whatever you call it, and they will accept this. They've also got a right to say what they like. It's a free world. While you can keep Julian Assange in jail for 5 years without trial in the UK, where he's not even charged. So all these are relative issues. Show me the face and I'll show you the rule. So I don't know. Is this decision was to come in a day or two, or was it not? Assange, he's sent home. do you say? What else?
Hmm. What do you think of Bollywood's portrayal of the ISI and the terrorists in general? Whenever I watch these movies, I find them hilarious. You know, the
Mhm.
Pakistani guy is the terrorist, always has one stone eye. And then his dialogues are so typical that even the Pakistanis I know from, they are poking fun at that. They're like, we don't always start with Salam Walaikum, we don't always wear a topi, and we don't always have one stone eye. What
No,
is wrong with you guys?
they're
So,
terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible movies. You know, in the 50s, 60s, we used to watch Hindi movies, Bollywood. This mindset hasn't changed since then. The Molvi, the Gaon ka Molvi was well-meaning, God-fearing, nationalist. Okay, so was the Padri, God-fearing, maybe a smuggler, but also a nationalist. It was the Pandit who was invariably shown as the meanie, lecherous even. We've not grown out of that mindset. So we now transport our imagery to Pakistan and made that chap the one-eyed, bearded, scowling villain. But and you know, I think the nearest we got to seeing a movie of this kind of terrorism was Wednesday. Nasiruddin and Bhatt, Mahesh Bhatt, not Bhatt, Kher, Anupam Kher, sorry,
okay. Hmm.
Anupam Kher. That was a good movie. It was that held your attention. But these other things, Sheikh and Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan have really made it a. It's not even a joke. I don't know. It's a Bollywoodized version of James Bond. Glamour, the, the pretty girl, fast cars, and gizmos, and he can do everything. The hero is a multi-purpose man. But the real movies are the ones that the Brits have made up quite often. Um, my favorite was Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and then
Hmm.
the other ones they made Tailor of Panama and the one नाम भी नहीं याद रहते अब movies के several movies by Jean Le Carre, books by Jean Le Carre made into movies. They're excellent. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. They're real movies.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hollywood has done well too, some of the movies. Not Black Hawk Down, not Zero Dark 30. Those are apologies for bad behavior. But the British have done pretty good movies. We have a long way to go.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if we could,
Hmm.
generally speaking, outside the field of intelligence, Bollywood could help become a great narrative perception builder for us, for the country. Make good art films. There's no objection to that. But even whatever you want to show, you have to show it not in your face. There has to be a subtlety about it, a reality about it, realism about it. Not the R&AW chap retiring with his ISI girlfriend on a to a yacht in the Mediterranean. That doesn't happen in
Is
real
that
life.
at all possible? Is that
Huh?
at all possible? A raw agent basically settling down with an ISI
A
agent?
raw
Is it
chap settling
that
down with somebody is possible, but I can't. I shudder to think it could ever happen with an ISI girl. I
Hmm,
mean, they would probably feel the same way about us.
hmm.
So there can be tremendous. The Pentagon had a standing arrangement with Hollywood. So did the CIA for making movies. They would give them help. They would give them suggestions. They would loan to them actual Air Force bases and equipment so that it becomes authentic. And then they would snip off things that they didn't want to be shown. So those are things that we can always do.
Okay, but why do we not do that? I mean, the ISI has ISPR. They make films, they make ads, they do
No,
award shows.
ISPR is a public relations
No, but they
statement
also
issue.
make films. They make films. They do dramas. There are
Uh,
scripts which are approved by the ISPR. They also do video games. There was a show called Sinfe Ahan recently. That's which is the
okay.
Women of
Uh,
Steel, where
okay.
they basically portray Pakistan Army women officers as the women of steel. So ISPR also does filmmaking. They also were part of this project called Khel Khel Mein, in which they
Mm,
talk about Bangladesh liberation in a manner that जी सब कुछ ठीक था, हम तो
mm.
भाई थे, वो हिंदू बानिया आया और हमें लड़ा के चला गया, बाकी सब कुछ ठीक था. So I mean, they do that all the time. So what? Why does R&AW not do that? We don't have I don't think we even have an office. I mean, not that an ordinary Indian would know, but that's the perception, right? Most of us won't even know who's the new R&AW chief. We don't know if they
Mm.
have an office. We don't know if they have a PR. So
Mm.
why are we so different from the other
I think
agencies?
traditionally it's always been like this with the low key. Um, not we never. You see, an intelligence organization draws its working ethos from the attitude of the government. Hmm. So, and your interests were not global. Our interests were Pakistan, China, neighboring countries. For about the science, technology, that's it. So, for a long time, we never felt the need to do this. The Americans had Russia on their hand, the communist Russia. They had China. So their range of activity is so huge. When you have 800 bases and the world divided into military commands, then not just the country, the whole globe is divided into commands. So your interests are totally different. You want to know what's happening in that island in the Pacific. We're only interested in our neighboring country, what are they planning or doing, whatever. And the periphery just beyond that. So the range is different, budgeting is different. Their budget at one stage used to be equal to our defense budget. Can you imagine? The intelligence budget was higher than our Indian defense budget.
The ISI's budget alone.
CIA,
See,
intelligence, American.
yeah, I was
CIA,
taken aback.
ISI का तो पता ही नहीं budget कितना है.
They don't
Half
have to
the money,
report, right?
half the money comes from smuggling.
Hmm. Do they have to report to any office in particular? No.
ISI no.
Yeah, no.
ISI reports at the most to the chief,
The army chief.
army chief.
Hmm. Hmm.
Doesn't report to the prime minister. He informs them, you know, of activities. Doesn't report to him about his financial status. So इनका तो वर्क स्टाइल फर्क है, ethos फर्क है, goals are different. See, ISI is an agency which acts on its own intelligence. The RAW does not act, or the intelligence bureau do not just act on their intelligence beyond trying to improve that bit of intelligence, get more data, or at the most give an assessment at the end what it means. But we don't march off after that to the target and say, okay, I'm picking you up and taking you in, or I'm going to do away with you. No, that is not the role of the intelligence organizations traditionally. But yes, Cyber needs this additional capability. That's going to be a major thing next
Hmm, hmm,
10,
hmm,
20, 30 years.
hmm, hmm. This leads to my last question to you today. In your book, The Ultimate Goal, you talk about how states form narratives and why there is a need to do that, form both short and long term narratives. And you also talk about covert propaganda. Could you tell us more about that?
You see, a nation that seeks to, as an element of control, if when we were a economically small country, economically small, our narrative was going to be peripheral around the region. As you grow stronger, you need to create a perception about yourself. It's not enough to be economically strong. It's not good enough to be militarily strong or technologically sound. You must have the ability to create a perception in the other person or the other state about yourself, your marketability, your rules and regulations, your how your country runs, how welcoming you are. That's a base level, that sort of thing. Then there is a narrative of superiority. That I, the white race, the colonial, was naturally much more superior, or he said he was superior to the people he colonized. Otherwise, he can't rule over them. So that was his long term goal, to stay supreme and superior. And you did it by various means, through religion, through language, through show of strength, everything. And you had the means to propagate that, to show off. After all, in Delhi, you built that Governor General's house right on top of Raisina Hill. Now that's a statement of the narrative. With 300 rooms, I'm so powerful. And the two executive blocks are right there next to him, the North Block and the South Block, from where they ran the empire. Your legislative council was down in the woods, behind trees, not visible. It was only a showpiece. That is a part of your narrative perception building. And the pomp and glory of the Governor General or the Viceroy going in his 6-horse coach, so on and so forth. They showed superiority in inviting Indians to join the civil service. You become one of us. had Macaulay teaching you English so that you could become one of us. हाँ? नौकरी मिलेगी अगर आप इंग्लिश सीख जाओगे. So you create a hold on the people. Americans show it with power. But behind power, there is another narrative, the narrative of wealth. If you are wealthy, you have power. If you have power, you have more wealth. So the Americans are controlled by money today. Control is with the wealthy. 90% of the wealth is owned by 1%, I think. So they control the narrative. They tell you what is good and bad. There is a sentence I want to read out to you. See how they stick to their narrative. The chap called Hall Brands, Brands, he wrote an article in the Foreign Affairs uh, in, well, this month. One sentence. Biden assiduously quoted India as a bulwark against China, even though the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has curbed speech, harassed opposition leaders, fanned religious grievances, and allegedly killed dissidents abroad. Now, he's drawing up a huge thing about how America how it can save the liberal order. And this is a typical Washington Post, New York Times line. So their narrative about India is this, because it suits them today to say this. They will want to deal economically with you, commercially with you. They will want to open factories here if they could. Even Apple is going to do that, has started it. So that they will do. The Prime Minister will Biden will be very cordial with the Prime Minister, but this they will continue.
So what makes them then? Are they our friends? They are frenemies, or they are friends with benefits? Who are the
They,
Americans?
they, they are friends to themselves.
Hmm.
National interest is paramount.
Hmm.
That is full stop.
Hmm.
If it suits them today, we are friends. If it doesn't suit them, you can wait.
Hmm.
So that's how it is with them. That's how it's going to remain with them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and then you have the short-term narrative.
Hmm.
You want to attack Iraq? How do you do it? So you concoct stories
Hmm.
about Al Qaeda and the nuclear bomb and biological warfare. None of that existed. But who cares? Once you've attacked, you justify it, you've done it, it's over. So आपका narrative वो काम आ गया.
True.
I think the same thing has happened in Ukraine.
Hmm.
They they told the Russians after
Hmm.
the collapse of the Soviet Union, you wind up your Warsaw Pact, and we promise NATO will not expand eastward. Not an inch eastward, said James Baker, the Secretary of State. But one by one, they came in. They wanted Ukraine. And Putin told them several years, I think 2008, don't do it. It's a red line for me. Don't do it. In fact, he attacked Georgia and put it in order because they were thinking of joining NATO. So they didn't do it. And today or yesterday, there was a huge report in New York Times which says how the CIA has been operating in Ukraine for a decade now, preparing for what? So these games, those evolutions of threat magnified over time, takes time to build up, and they've now got themselves into this situation.
Hmm. Before we let you go, give us some or share some interesting example of covert propaganda operation or a black psyop with us, if you have any. You,
Whose? Whose? Ours?
any organization, any intelligence organization, CIA, R&AW, ISI.
I can't think of any, you know, I mean, you can see it happening all the time. The narratives, the stories are being made. But
Hmm.
who does it, how it is done, I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm. But what exactly is covert propaganda? I mean, propaganda in
एक्चुअली
which the
प्रोपेगेंडा तो ओपन है, सब ओपन है। प्रोपेगेंडा तो आपका गवर्नमेंट टू गवर्नमेंट है, इश्तिहार
Hmm.
निकाल दिया हमने, ये कर दिया, वो कर दिया।
Hmm.
Mao Zedong does his propaganda
Hmm.
about about the cultural cultural revolution. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Covert operation cyber is always overt.
Hmm.
It's always covert. Sorry, it's never
Hmm.
overt.
Hmm.
Because if
Hmm.
it is open, then it's not a cyber operation,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's not trying to control your mind
Hmm.
surreptitiously.
Hmm.
So it's difficult to say which operation. You know, Imprint magazine was run with the help
Hmm.
of CIA. The
Hmm.
National Endowment for Democracy is a so-called think tank in America,
Hmm.
which has CIA money,
Hmm.
and their job is to spread democracy in other countries,
Hmm. Hmm.
which means they would probably be taking CIA's help to do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So that kind of a thing is open for everybody to see.
Hmm.
It is a it is a declared body, National
Hmm.
Endowment for Democracy.
Hmm.
It has been
For that
doing.
matter, even the State Department, at times they send out statements which are like, which have too many innuendos and they are loaded. The statements are loaded, like the one you just quoted, right?
Uh-huh.
Statements of this nature where the statement is already loaded. You already have a preconceived notion that, okay, the Indian
Uh,
Prime Minister is doing this, even though you have absolutely no evidence to back that up. But
uh,
then you still want to send that out. So I think that is also a kind of a psychological operation. It may not
that,
have that
that,
kind of credibility, but it
that
is.
that's a diplomatic maneuver
Hmm. Or maybe a
to,
white psyop.
yeah, to tell you that if you do
Hmm.
this, we'll do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is a, sometimes it is a bit of arm twisting or
Hmm.
veiled threat or
Hmm.
unhappiness.
Hmm.
Depends on the scale at which they are upset.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm sure we do it too, and I think our Prime Minister, our Foreign Minister's reply
Hmm.
to the question that you people have so many options, you keep so many options open. So he said, well, isn't that a smart thing to do, to have more than one option? Well, that's true. I mean, if you're a smart chap, you'll have plan A, B, C, not just one. So Americans want you to, when you are friends with America, they mean do as I say, not do as I do. So
Hmm.
and they are the city on the hill, the manifest destiny, and so on and so forth. They've used for themselves.
Hmm.
But it's slipping,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
not because necessarily they become weak, they have maybe, but because others are going up now.
True. True. Hmm.
And to 2050, I go back to the same thing.
Hmm.
There will be two countries the size of China economically, not totally, but substantially, both in Asia, plus Japan. Can the West accept it? That's my question. So be ready. It's coming.
Every time you answer a question, I have like 10 more questions in my mind, but I think I'll call it a day for today because I
Okay.
told you it's going to be like 45 minutes. It's already like an hour.
Is
So,
it?
yeah, it's already over an hour. So, I'll
Uh,
let you go today. So, that's all from my side. Do you have any concluding remarks? Something
no,
that you might
no, I have nothing really to add. We
Yeah,
talked to so many things, so it's fine.
yeah. Where could people buy your book from apart from Amazon? I know it's on Amazon. Are there any other platforms also where they could buy it?
I don't know. Where are you? You're in Delhi?
No, I am in yours. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
in
in,
Bangalore. Oh, of course, of course, of course. I don't know where in Bangalore you can buy it, but
hmm. No, I'm talking about the viewers because I know some people are going to ask me, okay, I'm not in a place where Amazon probably delivers this, so where else could we buy it from?
I really have, I've not been to Bangalore. I live outside Bangalore.
Yeah.
I don't know where the bookstores are.
I'm
I just do my.
talking about the online platforms. Is it just on Amazon?
It's on Flipkart also.
Okay, 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 okay. Right. Thank
And
you. Hmm. Hmm.
so take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom with us. I look forward to having more such conversations with you. देखते हैं आगे आपसे
Sure.
वक्त मिलेगा तो फिर से बात होगी. Bye for today.
Okay.
जी,
Take care. All the best.
thank you.